Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm making another bunny cookie for Easter. Hi, I'm Leslie with Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and if you're interested in cookie decorating or want to learn how, you're in the right place. So I'm starting out by filling in the inside of the ears for these bunnies, and I'm going to do a wet on wet effect. So I'm just going to outline a little wedge here for the inside of the ear, and then I will use my scribe to settle this icing down. My icing is about a 15-second consistency, so I can outline and flood with the same icing. And I'll just shape this icing and settle it down with my scribe, making sure that the icing gets all the way down to the cookie. And then I'm going to immediately grab my white icing that's also in a 15-second consistency and just make little dots on the inside of these ears. I'm going to put my piping bag right in the wet pink icing and make little dots. So I'm putting wet icing and wet icing, and that's why it's called a wet on wet effect. And your little dots should settle down, but if not, just give it a little shake and a tap and it'll all blend together. And then I put that aside to dry for about 10 to 15 minutes until the pink icing had crusted over. And now I'm just going to come in and outline and flood my entire bunny cookie with white icing. So I touch down at each corner and then lift up my piping bag just a little bit, following the outline of the cookie and dropping my icing down along the outline. As I get to the end, I'll stop squeezing and place the rest of my line down. And then I'll just go ahead and fill this in. I'm using the same icing to outline and flood once again. It's about a 15-second consistency, so it shouldn't overflow the edges. And I'm also going to kind of jiggle my piping bag as I'm flooding in this area, so it will help it smooth out and settle down without me having to work as hard with my scribe to get it to smooth out. When your icing is a little bit thicker like mine is, it does take a little bit of work to get it to settle down and become smooth, but I find it much easier to work with. I don't get as many craters, and it also doesn't overflow the edges. Once I'm done flooding my bunny, I'll grab my scribe and I'll use it to smooth out these ears and make sure that the icing goes all the way down to the cookie. I believe a lot of craters happen in small areas because the icing sits up on top of the outline, and then as it dries, it sinks down and creates a crater in your icing. And I did overflow this edge just a little bit, so I did wipe it away with my scribe, and then I'll just settle the edge back down and I'll be good to go. Now I do have a couple of air bubbles, so I'm just going to tap my scribe in them sideways, and that usually brings them right to the surface. And then I can just gently poke up and down to settle the icing back down in those areas. And then I'm going to set this cookie aside to dry again. And now that it's had a chance to dry, I'm going to come back with my pink icing and just pipe 2 big balls and then drag them to a point at the bottom for a little heart-shaped nose. And then I'll further smooth that out and shape it with my scribe. Your scribe is your best cookie tool, my friends. And then you could be done with your cookie right here, but I'm going to give her a couple of closed eyes and then add an eyelash. My black icing is in about a 25-second consistency. And once I'm finished with this cookie will be done. You could add some rosy cheeks once the cookie is completely dried. That's up to you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button and check out the playlist. I have a lot of Easter cookie decorating tutorials for you, and all the supplies are listed in the description. Thanks for watching. Happy Easter!